Hi folks, it's Steve Grizzetti, co-founder of MoviePix.com and author of the MoviePix.com Guide to Adobe Photoshop Elements, and here we are in Photoshop Elements. And today I want to talk about the Photoshop Elements preferences. Most of the time you don't think about preferences, maybe you even work around them, but I want to show you some of my favorite preferences, or I think some of the most significant preferences, and how you can make the program work more to your advantage. If you're on a Mac, the preferences are up and to the left of the program, as they are with any program. If you're on a PC, you'll find your preferences under the Edit menu. We'll go to Preferences, General page. I've already set some of these. I think by default, these are not activated, but I like these. Allow floating documents in expert mode. Allow floating document window docking. Without these preferences set, your photos all open in sort of this tabbed interface here, which is nice and neat. Good housekeeping, right? It's easy to get from one photo to the next. But I actually prefer to have my photos floating around. And because I changed those preferences, and we'll look at them again in a moment, I can actually pick those photos out of that interface and have them floating around. I can grab elements from one photo and drag them onto another photo. It's just kind of my preferred way of working. And if it is yours also, you can find it in Preferences General right down here by checking those two boxes. By default, Enable Crop Pre-Selection is selected. What that means is when you've got a photo, say this one, and you select the crop tool, the program's already way ahead of you, suggesting crops. Let me just get things out of the way here so we can look at that. And in fact, it's got a number of crop selections made for you. I don't like that kind of artificial intelligence. So let's just go back here to my preferences. I like to disable crop pre-selection because then when I go over here to my photo and I select the crop tool, there are no suggestions made and I can decide myself what I'm going to crop. It's a matter of personal preference, but that's just the way I like to do it. Let's go back to the preferences again. And this time, let's go to Saving Files. By default, this is set to always ask when it comes to saving files. That means if you've been working on something and you try to save it, the program will say, do you want to save over the current file or do you want to create a new save? Now, if you're paranoid that maybe you've changed something you might regret changing, then maybe you do want to be asked each time. That kind of is some extra clicking for me. So I always set this to Save Over Current File. That way, when I say save, it just saves. Finally, if you go down here to Displaying Cursors, down here at the bottom is something that was added a couple generations ago. Very, very helpful. If you've got a high density or a high resolution display, the program may not appear as you'd like it to. The interface may be too small. The writing may be too small for you, too large. This allows you to make changes to the way the interface looks so that it looks best on whatever size display and whatever resolution of display you're using. Usually Automatic does it for you, but if it doesn't, you can set it to small or large by selecting the preference here. Most of these other preferences are pretty simple, including things like performance here. The program sets things up automatically for the most part. You don't need to worry about them. They're going to get the best performance out of your machine. But those are the main preferences, the ones that mean the most to me, and maybe they can help you set your workflow a little more efficiently also. If you want to know more about this program, if you want to know every single thing about this program, check out the MoviePix.com Guide to Adobe Photoshop Elements. It's available on Amazon.com. If you got any questions at all, or if you want to see any great tutorials on this program, check out MoviePix.com. Come over to our free community forum. Post any questions you got there. We'll get you an answer real soon. I'm Steve Grizzetti, and I wrote the book, and I hope to see you at MoviePix.com.